So today is the last concept in Selenium WebDriver. Okay. In Selenium WebDriver, today is the last concept. So we're going to discuss. So today's concept is called as JavaScript Executor. Okay. So first of all, what is a JavaScript Executor? So what is the usage of JavaScript Executor? What are the different things that we can perform using JavaScript Executor that we're going to learn? So JavaScript Executor is something where we can execute the JavaScript. So Java is different, JavaScript is different. So with the help of JavaScript Executor, we can execute the JavaScript. So what is JavaScript? Using JavaScript, what are the things that we can do? So we can identify the elements using JavaScript. So normally till now we are identifying is a driver.find element in Selenium WebDriver. But using JavaScript Executor also we can identify the element. How to identify the element that we will see. And also we can perform scroll operations. If we have any website, okay, let's say if you have any website like this, if you want to do the mouse scroll operation like this, okay, so this can be done using JavaScript. Using JavaScript, we can move the mouse, scrolling the mouse. We can do scrolling operations. We can do. So JavaScript helps us to do all these kind of operations. Like JavaScript helps us to click on the elements. Again, JavaScript helps us to enter the text inside the text boxes, and JavaScript helps us to scroll the elements. And also JavaScript helps us to highlight the any elements. Highlighting. These all the things will be done by the JavaScript. So what JavaScript executor will do? JavaScript executor will execute the JavaScript that we want to achieve. Okay, which helps us to execute the JavaScript. So JavaScript helps us to perform all the operations. So this performs all the operations. We want some executor. So that is nothing but the JavaScript executor. We're using JavaScript executor is provided by Selenium only. So JavaScript executor is provided by Selenium where we can execute the JavaScript. Okay, so how to write the JavaScript? First of all, first we need to identify the element. Then we can perform like entering the text or clicking on the elements. We can perform any of the operations. First, we need to identify the elements using JavaScript executor. Okay, how to identify the elements using JavaScript executor? There are different methods are available. Like we have ID. Previously, we have ID, name, class name, tag name, link text, partial link text. There are different things available as part of WebDriver, right? Similarly, we have different types available here also. Using any of these techniques, we can identify the element using JavaScript. Okay. So when using JavaScript, so these are the different options which is provided by JavaScript. So using JavaScript, you can identify the element using ID, using name, and the class name, tag name, XPath, and also CSS selector. These will support. JavaScript will support. Link text and partial link text don't support. So, but using any of these techniques, we can identify the elements using JavaScript. Okay. The first one is how to find the element using JavaScript executor. Okay. So first, let us write some JavaScript where we want to identify certain element, and then that particular script, if you want to execute, we need JavaScript executor. Okay. So first, how to write a JavaScript? So now that I want to identify this text box. Okay. How to identify? So if you inspect this element, we have ID, right? So there are different things that is JavaScript is providing to identify the element. Is ID is one of the type. Using ID, we can identify the element using JavaScript. So how to identify the element using JavaScript? So take this ID value, right? And then go to console. Okay, go to console, clear everything. So here you can write JavaScript, okay, to identify the element. So how to identify the element using ID, right? So now what exactly I need to do is I need to type document, okay, because in this complete document only I want to do it. This is a type of document. The complete structure is called as document. The complete document, I want to get the element. So get element by ID. This is the one which is provided by JavaScript. Using get element by ID, we can pass the ID inside this in the single quotes. Whatever I copied the ID, I have to provide here. Document dot get element by ID, and instead you need to provide the ID. So this put semicolon, that is the end of the statement, and click on enter. So this will give us that particular web element, this particular text box. So in this way, by writing the JavaScript, we can identify the element. See, I got the web element. Only this particular web element I got. Okay, in this way, I can identify the element using ID. This is one way that we can identify. Similarly, using name, class name, tag name, XPath and CSS selector. The syntax will change for XPath and CSS selector. Syntax will be different. Okay, we will see that also. So this is how we need to identify using JavaScript. We need to identify element using ID. So this is a JavaScript that we have written. If we want to execute this command using Selenium, we need JavaScript executor. Now I have executed this command in Chrome itself. Chrome supports by default executing of JavaScript. But if you want to execute the same command in Selenium, you need JavaScript executor. Okay. So this will give us a complete web element. Based on the ID, we are able to fetch the web element. So once we get the web element, we can enter the text. So how to enter the text in this web element? Don't put the semicolon. Okay. Once we identify the element, the same element. So how to get this element again? Type the up arrow. Type the up arrow, you'll get this particular element. Okay. Once we get the element like this, so this is nothing but this will completely is giving us this web element, right? And I don't want to click on enter. Don't click on enter. I want to enter some text. How to enter text? Using dot value. Using dot value is equal to in the single quotes provide and then put the semicolon. So this is how we need to enter the text. So once we identify the element using JavaScript, so we have to put dot value is equal to Selenium. So how to enter text normally in Selenium using send keys. Drive dot find element dot send keys. You can use by.id, by.export, by.csv or whatever you use. Identify the element and dot send keys enters the text. But here you have to put dot value. Okay, and then enter the text one. Whatever you want to enter, that you can enter. Now I want to enter Selenium inside this text box. Now dot value is equal to in the single quote Selenium and then semicolon. And then click on enter. If you see here, it entered the text. The moment you click on enter, it entered the text. So the main thing we need to observe is this is how we need to identify the element using ID. And we can enter the text using dot value is equal to Selenium. Okay, now I want to do other thing. Now I want to identify this particular, what we can say. Let's say this contact us link I want to identify. Okay. Using XPath or CSS editor. That is fine. That I will discuss later. As of now, let us stick with ID only. That is a different syntax will be there. That is a huge syntax will be there if you want to write XPath. So we'll see. Just a second, guys.
Sir, we are unable to hear your voice, sir.
Sorry, I was on mute. Okay. So what I did, currently I'm trying to enter some text using, I found the element using ID and I'm entering the text using dot value is equal to Selenium, right? The same thing I want to work with through code I want to enter. So this is a JavaScript that I have written to enter the text. If I want to execute this JavaScript, okay, this is a JavaScript. If I want to execute this, I want a JavaScript executor. I have a JavaScript executor in Selenium. Using JavaScript executor, I can perform this execution of the script. So how to work with this? So that's why I created a package. Inside this package, I'm going to create a class called JavaScript executor example. And I need a public static void main. Now, if I want to perform action first, I need to enter this text. So first I need to open this website, sorry. So if I want to open this website, I need to use the same code that I'm using previously. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I have to open this website. Right. Once I open the website, now I want to enter the text using JavaScript executor. Right. So to work with JavaScript executor, first we need to create the JavaScript executor. Just we need to create the reference of JavaScript executor. So yesterday one we are doing with take screenshot. So the driver that we are getting, that we are typecasting, that we are converting into take screenshot interface, right? Similarly, the driver that we have, the driver instance that we need to convert into the JavaScript executor. So how to convert? So first we need to take JavaScript executor. Okay, so you have to import this from JS is equal to driver. So JavaScript executor, this you need to import from org.openqa.selenium. Okay, so we have to import from org.openqa.selenium. JavaScript executor where J is capital and E is capital. Now this driver, I'm getting an error. I have to convert this. Conversion happens like this. You have to mention the corresponding name here. We are converting the driver instance into JavaScript executor. So this is how we need to write the statement. So once I write the right statement using this variable, there is a method which helps us to execute the JavaScript. So the method name is called execute script. So the method name is called execute script. Okay. Inside this, inside the double quotes, I need to pass the corresponding script, whatever I want to work with. So what is a script? If I want to identify the element and then enter the text, what is the script that I have written? In Chrome, this is the script I have written, right? Copy the script, complete script, and put it inside the double quotes. So this execute script helps us to execute the JavaScript. So this is a JavaScript and JavaScript executor helping us to execute the JavaScript. Okay, inside the double quotes, it mentions the complete text. So where I want to identify the element using get element by ID, here I have passed the ID. So dot value helps us to enter the text inside the text box. Clear? Any questions as of now?
Clear.
So now if I run the code, so it will help us to execute the JavaScript. Once the JavaScript is executed, automatically the same thing, whatever we done here. So this JavaScript executor will perform. So once this script is executed, the complete script is executed, automatically it will enter the Selenium, what we have seen previously in Chrome. So let me run this and see what exactly happens. See, we are able to enter the text using JavaScript executor. So this is an important question. So what are the different ways that we can enter the text inside the text box? So one using normal Selenium direct command like driver.find element, and you can find the element using any of the ID or name or link text, partial link text, and then you can use send keys method to enter the text. Okay, or export or CSS, anything you can use. And another way is using JavaScript executor. So document.getElement by ID or any of the ID name that we're going to discuss later. And they can use dot value is equal to corresponding text that you want to enter. Two ways. Okay. Now we are able to perform the action using JavaScript executor. That is fine. Right? Now we have seen only ID, how to identify the element using ID. Now let us see all these other things. The process is same. Once you identify the element using these things, you have to put that in the double quotes. js.execute script. Inside the execute script, you have to put in the double quotes that will perform the corresponding action. Now let us see the same text box we identify using different other techniques that we have that JavaScript is providing. I can use ID, class name, tag name, XPath, and CSS selector. First, we will see the first part. Later, we'll see how to click and how to enter text. And enter text we already seen, and we'll see click element next time. Now, first we'll see how to find the elements. Now, let us try to identify the element using name. Okay. Let me clear everything. Let me refresh the page.
Display.
Pardon?
Once to display code, sir, 2 seconds. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. The same thing. So, okay, now what I'm going to do is now I'm trying to identify the element. Identification I will do. Again, the same element I'll try to identify using name now. JavaScript helps us to identify using name also. Let me copy the name. Okay. Let me copy the name and go into console. Now I have to use document dot get element by name. Okay. Now previously I used get element by ID. Now I have to use name. Inside the double quotes, inside open the braces and close the braces. Inside double quotes, I need to pass the name. And then click on enter. Okay. I think the name has different names are available. Let's see. Let's say input. The name is equal to. Okay, there is only one name. That's fine. So ID gives directly the corresponding input, but name can be duplicate, right? ID cannot be duplicate. ID will be unique for each and every element, but name can be duplicate. So that is the reason it is showing as a list. Okay, list, load list, but there inside we have only one element. Inside you have only one element. When we click on this, it is navigated to that particular element. Only one element. If you see 0, if there are more than one elements are present with the same name, then we'll get 0, 1, 2, 3 like that. We'll get a list. Currently, we have only 0. It's nothing but only one element that we have. So how to identify this particular element? So currently, this statement is not giving us the complete that particular element, right? Now, how to identify this element? So once we get this, using this index 0th element, I can identify. Okay, because that element is nothing but the 0th element, right? Based on the index that we have, from 0 it will start. If you get more than one element, so it will start from 0, 1, 2, 3. Corresponding element you can identify because name can be duplicated. So this complete statement will give us a node list. Inside a node list, we have more than one element that you can choose using the index again. So here only one element is there, that with the 0th index. Now I'm taking that using 0th index like this. Now once I get the element, again the same concept, dot value is equal to, I can put whatever you want. Now I'm going to put Selenium tutorials, semicolon. So once I identify the element, that particular element, and then using dot value, I can send the text. Now if I enter this, I'm able to enter the text, right? The moment I enter, it is able to enter the text using dot value. Clear, everyone? Again, I refresh the page, that is the reason it's not showing. Okay, fine. So this is how we can enter the text using name also. Name and use name will get a node list, even if it is one element or more than one element. You have to choose the corresponding element using the index, and then you can using dot value send the text. This is one way. Using name also we have discussed. Now using class name. The same thing. If you pass this complete text script inside the JavaScript executor, that will work. Now let me comment this. Again, I'm going to use JS dot execute script. This you have to use, this command you have to use, and remove everything inside this. In the double quotes, you pass the corresponding text, JavaScript, and at the end you put semicolon. So inside the double quotes, along with the semicolon, complete statement you have to keep. Okay. And once we keep the complete statement, again this statement is ending with semicolon. So this is how you need to write. So this will perform the same action, but the identification that we have identified using name only. Now, okay. Now let me run this. That's about using identifying using name. Now let's see class name. Identifying the element using class name. Now if you go to the element, if I refresh the page, so this element contains the class name. Let us take the search query as a class name. Out of multiple class names, I'm taking the first class name, search query. Now in the console, go and type again document dot. The document spelling is wrong. Document dot get element by now class name. By ID I have seen, name I have seen, now class name. Right? Now by dot class name I need to select. Inside I need to pass the single quote, the corresponding class name, and then click on enter. Okay. Just a second. Again, we get the complete HTML collection with the class name. So if you expand this input, we get again the 0 element. One element is available. So now if you want to access that using slash, and then you have to put in the square brackets, you need to put 0. The corresponding element is highlighted using class name. Okay. Similarly, you can enter the text using dot value is equal to Selenium. Semicolon, and the moment you click on enter, it will enter the text. Okay, so this is how we need to identify using the class name. Get elements by class name. If you see for ID, okay, if you see for document dot, let me remove everything. If you put document dot get element, if you see get element by ID, it is a singular. Get element, only ID is unique in any web page. So we have only one ID. We cannot duplicate the IDs. That is the reason it is singular, get element by ID. But when you see the name, get elements by name, it is giving plural. That is the reason it is giving node list. And also if you're giving get elements by class name, it is give the more than one element. If we have a class name, it is containing more than one element, it gives us a list. Okay, that's what we have seen here. It is giving a complete list. Okay, so where we have only one element with 0 index. That's what we have taken. Okay, even with the class name, we have only one element. If you can see that, you can see like this. Dot using CSS selector, we can write here also to make sure that is only one element is present. So that is the reason we can see only one element, that is the 0th element, that we can access using index again. Square brackets you can keep, and 0 you can pass, and then dot value you can enter the text. Clear? Any questions as of now? Put 0, you get the corresponding web element. If you highlight this web element, then you can put dot value and enter the text. So this is how identifying. This complete statement is identifying the web element. Once we identify the web element using dot value, you can send the text. So the same thing you can execute here also. If you want to try it out, you can try it out. It will work as same. Inside the execute script, inside the double quotes, you pass the complete script, JavaScript statement. Okay. The next one is using tag name. Okay, using tag name. So using tag name, let's say I want to identify this particular web element, cart. Okay, using class tag name B. B is a tag name, right? So we have only one element. Let us consider. First, we make sure that is only one web element. Right. The same thing I want to perform using JavaScript. Document dot, sorry. Document gives a complete document, HTML document. Okay. Don't ever do the document. So let me clear this. So document dot get element by tag name. So what is the tag name? Inside the single quotes, I need to put tag name. Tag name is B. So it is also give because it's a get elements by tag name. There are more than one elements you can have using the same tag name. We'll get the HTML collection. So there is only one element with the 0th index. So that is the reason we're able to identify this element using 0th index. Now, if I want to access the 0th index, again square brackets, inside you have to pass the index. That will get the corresponding tag, corresponding web element, complete web element, we got it here. See, I'm able to identify, right? Now what action I can perform here? Till now we have seen entering the text using dot value. Now we will see the click operation also. So in this cart, I want to click on this cart option. Okay. So what exactly I need to do? So first one, once I identify this element, you can use dot normal brackets open and close semicolon. That's it. Then we click on enter. See, immediately we're going to cart page. Just see, observe the page. When I click on enter, okay, we navigated to corresponding cart page. So this is how we have to work on clicking the elements also. Dot click, open braces and close braces. Okay, here we have seen how to identify the elements using tag name and also how to click on the elements also we have seen. Using click command we can use. So see, so again, if you see, if I use this command, this complete statement is giving us the corresponding tag name. Out of all the tag names, I'm using the index to identify because we have only one element, only one index. So 0th index, and then I'm using dot click. When I click on this, immediately navigate to the corresponding page. See, it is clicking. Right? The same thing I can perform. Now I have navigated to the corresponding page, cart page. The same thing I want to perform using JavaScript executor. Just copy the same thing, whatever we did now in the JavaScript executor. So that will give us the same output. Open the web page, clicking on the cart. So let me comment whatever we have done till now. Now js.execute script. Remove everything inside the execute script. The second parameter is optional. That is the reason we can remove. Okay. Now inside this, I'm going to pass the value. So complete statement I'm copying here. In the double quotes, complete statement to click I'm passing here. Now this will click. Once I open the website, it will click on the cart. So that you will navigate to the cart page. So let me run this and see. Okay. So we're able to click on using the JavaScript executor also. So this is also an important question. How many different ways that we can click on an element? Using normal click method, driver.find element dot click. Right? Using ID, name, or export the CSS can identify using by.id, by.name. Okay, by.link text, by.partial link text. You can click on any of these methods. Right? And you can click on it. That is one way. The other way is using actions class. Using actions class also we can click. We have a click method at current location, click at particular web element, right? We have a click method available in actions class also. One more way is using JavaScript executor. Clear? Any questions? Fine, right? If you have any questions, you can ask me now. I'll stop for a minute. Okay, hopefully everyone is understood clearly. Now, we have seen using the tag name, right? That is fine. Now I'm going to identify this element, okay, using the first I'll see first we'll talk about CSS selector, then we go for export because export syntax will be a little bit tricky. So now I want to identify using CSS selector. So normally how to identify using CSS selector? This particular web element. Okay. I can use hash and then corresponding ID. So this is a CSS selector, right? Sorry, hash and then corresponding ID. This is not ID, this is the CSS selector. For IDs, we have to start with hash. For classes, we have to start with dot. So this is a CSS selector. Now how to identify using JavaScript, that too using CSS selector. So this is how we need to write document dot not get element by ID, not get elements by name, or get elements by a link, sorry, get elements by tag name, get elements, that is not available. So we have a method called query selector. Okay, query selector. Inside the query selector, this is the method which will help us to execute the the CSS selector. So inside single quotes, we need to pass the corresponding CSS selector that we have written. Enter. So this will give us the ID. Query selector helps us to execute the CSS selector. Document.query selector. Inside that we need to pass the corresponding query selector, CSS selector. So this is how we need to identify using JavaScript, that too using CSS selector. Okay, we have to use query selector, not get element by ID or not get elements by that method is not available. We have to use query selector. So once we identify the element, same using dot value, you can send the text whatever you want. Once we identify, you can do whatever we want. Okay, it entered. So if you want to identify using CSS selector using JavaScript, so you have to use document.query selector. Inside in the single quotes, you have to pass the CSS selector and you can identify the element and you can perform the action, whatever the action you want. You want to perform click operation or you want to perform entering text using dot value. Okay, let me try to execute this. Let me comment this. JS.execute script. Okay, execute script inside double quotes, how to pass a complete statement. Semicolon. Now let me run this. Okay. We're able to enter the text. So this is how identifying the element using CSS selector. Document.query selector is the command to identify the element using CSS selector. Document.query selector, and you have to provide the CSS selector. Now we have to identify using XPath. Okay, for XPath, the syntax will be a little tricky. Okay, if you want to identify the XPath, document.query selector is simple. Document.get element by ID, get elements by tag name, get elements by class name. That is simple command where we can pass the corresponding value. But when we want to use XPath, so this is the command. Document.evaluate. Okay, so this is a command that we need to use, and we need to put multiple parameters inside this. Okay, so what are these parameters? So once you use document.getEvaluate, so first parameter is nothing but the corresponding XPath I need to provide in the first parameter. Okay, comma. So where you want to search this XPath, the second parameter will be context node. I want to search in the document. You have to pass the document. So this is example. So this is XPath syntax. So this is example. So now once we identify the XPath, second parameter will be document. Third parameter you can keep it as null. Namespace resolver you can keep it as null. And fourth parameter result type that you have to put as XPath result dot first ordered node type that you have to provide. XPath result dot first ordered node type you have to provide in place of result type because this is the syntax. And the result again you have to keep it as null. Okay, then once we put all these parameters under the evaluate, then you have to use dot single node value. So this is a syntax that we need to follow to identify using the XPath. Now let us try to identify the same thing using XPath. Okay, let me comment. First let us size an XPath here. Using the same element, I'm trying to identify using XPath. What is XPath? Input @ID is equal to, in the single quotes, we need to pass the corresponding ID. I'm writing XPath now. This is the XPath. Now I want to use this XPath to identify using JavaScript. So what exactly I need to use? Go to, you have to put document Now we have to put evaluate. Evaluate, you have to put multiple parameters. Okay, so first parameter would be you have to pass the corresponding XPath. Second parameter would be where you want to search it, and in the entire HTML document I need to search this XPath, right? So you have to put the document. Third parameter you can keep it as null. Fourth parameter. So what is fourth parameter? Fourth parameter you have to put the result type. Result type is nothing but this you have to provide. XPath result dot first order node type. XPath result dot first ordered node type that you have to provide, and then comma, and the last parameter null we can keep. So once we do this and click on enter, okay, so this is not giving, this is giving a something. So this complete statement is giving a XPath result. So where inside XPath result, so our element is present under single node value. Under single node value, our element is present, correct or wrong? So that is the reason we have to call the single node method at the end of the XPath. Here my element is present. In this parameter, my element is present in the single node value. In the single node value, once I click on enter there, I got the XPath result. Expand the XPath result. Inside XPath result, under the single node value, I have my element. So that is the reason I have to call single node value. That is the reason. So call the same thing. Don't put semicolon dot. Call the single node value. Click on enter now. Now we get the element. Now we can enter the text. So once we get the single node value, now dot value is equal to, let me put my name, Ravindra. Okay, the moment I click on enter, it entered the corresponding text. So this is the syntax that we need to follow by using XPath. Okay, this is a little tricky. Not tricky, it is simple only. Okay, but we need to understand the syntax. That's it. What values that we need to pass. Okay, what exactly we need to do. Okay, so first we need to pass the XPath, and inside the document I want to search for this XPath, and third parameter is null, and fourth parameter is XPath result dot first order node type, and again fifth parameter will be null. And inside, once we get the XPath result, inside single node value, my element is present. Once I get the element till here, single node value, I got my element, and dot value can enter the text once you identify the element. So now let us try to work with the same thing. Okay, I copy the entire thing, and we can execute in the Javascript executor. Okay, let me copy at the end of the statement semicolon. So this complete statement will help us to enter the text. So once we identify this element, okay, you can perform any action. You can want to click on element. If you want to enter the text, you can do whatever you want based on the element type. But the element identification is important. First, if you want to perform any operation. So these methods, these techniques you can use to identify the element. Okay. So finding elements using JavaScript executor we have done. Entering the text we have seen. Clicking on the elements using click method also we have seen. These three we have done. Now, how to highlight element using JavaScript executor? Before going to discuss about this highlight command, so I want to execute in another way. It's complete. So this JavaScript executor I'm doing, right? So with this element, I'm document.get element by ID query selector. I'm trying to find the element and entering the text. That is fine. There is one more way that we can enter the text using JavaScript executor. First, identify the element using normal identification mechanism like driver.find element. Once I identify the element, I get a web element, correct? So using the web element also, I can enter the text. So how to do that using JavaScript executor? So you will see that. So first, I create a JavaScript executor, that is well and good. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, now I'm going to identify this element, then the same element using this XPath. So what exactly I can do? Driver dot find element by dot XPath in the double quotes. Okay, this is how I need to find the element using normal mechanism. First from the beginning on, so you're doing this only. So this I can store it in web element. I'm naming it as text box. Web element I need to import from org.openqa.selenium. So using this web element, I can identify the element using normal mechanism, and I can use this web element to enter the text using JavaScript executor. Again, this is one more way. So how to do that? So now I have to call the JavaScript executor dot execute script. Okay, now we have to pass two parameters. In the second parameter, we have to pass the corresponding web element on which web element you want to perform the action. So this is a web element I need to pass in the second parameter. In the first parameter, inside the double quotes, right? I want to enter the text inside this text box, right? Now I have to write this command. Arguments of 0 dot value. Dot value is common, and then I want to pass Selenium, and then semicolon. So this is a statement inside the double quotes I have written. Arguments of 0 dot value is equal to Selenium. So 0 is nothing but the index. So arguments is nothing but the after this. So this is called as argument. We can have n number of arguments. You can have any number of web elements here. Anything you can have n number of n number of elements that you can have. So arguments of 0 represents the first web element. Okay, 0 represents the index. We can pass. Okay, let's say if I want to pass one more thing here, can I pass? Yes, I can pass. Okay, any number of web elements, same element or any number of web elements you can pass, any number of parameters you can have. So each parameter index will be 0. Each number of parameter will be index will be 0. So each one will be one argument. So this is of argument of 0. This is the argument of 1. So where I'm performing the operation in the arguments of 0. So arguments of 0 represents the first argument. So dot value is equal to Selenium. So first identify the element using normal web element command. In this web element, I want to perform the action. So second parameter I need to provide this. This is the argument of 0. So inside the arguments of 0, dot value is equal to enter in the text. This is also one more way. Clear? Any questions? Here arguments of 0 represents the first element. Arguments of 1 represents if you have more than one web element or more than one element. Second arguments of 1 represents the second one. Arguments of 3 represents the fourth one, like that. Clear? Any questions? Guys in teams, please respond.
No, sir.
Okay, so this arguments of 0 is nothing but represents the corresponding text box only. Okay, now let me run this and see whether you're able to enter the text using dot value. Okay, clear? Now the same command I can write in another way also. Entering the text. Different ways that we can perform. Okay, so I have identified the web element. I'm using the same web element to enter the text. So now JavaScript executor dot execute script. Okay, and parameter I'm going to pass the text box only. So in this text box, it's nothing but the arguments of 0. In this text box, I want to enter the text. Correct? So arguments of 0 is nothing but the text box. Last, and put the semicolon at the last. Fine. So now dot. I don't want to call the value attribute like this directly. Now I want to call the set attribute method. Set attribute method, which is accepting two parameters again. So which attribute I want to set? Okay. Now I want to set the value in the value attribute. Okay, set attribute of value. Inside I want to pass the Selenium. So this is one more way that we can enter the text inside the text box. So this value is nothing but the attribute. So normally we see different attributes, right? So value is nothing but one of the attribute. So let me open one other website. I'll show you an example. Till now what we are doing? We are entering dot value is equal to, we are entering some text. So dot value is something where there is an attribute. So if you put here, I'm going to edit this web element. I'm going to put value is equal to, let's say, admin. What happened? It entered the text admin. That's what I'm doing as of now using JavaScript executor. Okay, I'm putting the text inside the value that will reflect in the corresponding page element. So dot value is equal to some text you can enter, or else you can set the value of this attribute. Anything is fine. I'm setting the value of this attribute called admin. Similarly, I can set the value of here in this web element. What value I want to set? I want to set the value of Selenium using set attribute. Even in this way, we can set the text. Now let me run this and see what exactly happens. So value is nothing but the attribute. Currently, we are trying to set the text inside the value attribute only. That's what we are doing. Okay. In this way also we can set the text. Clear? Any questions?
Yes, sir.
So inside this attribute value, I'm setting the text Selenium. The same way we can directly write like this also. Dot value is equal to Selenium. Okay. Or else you can use set attribute, where in the value attribute, I'm going to set the value of Selenium. This is how we need to enter the text, identify the elements using JavaScript executor. We can directly write the document.getElement identify the element using JavaScript only and perform the action using JavaScript only. Or identify using the element normally using driver.findElement and perform the action using JavaScript executor. Anything you can do. And the next one is highlight the element using JavaScript executor. So how to highlight the element using JavaScript executor? So now highlighting element happens using the set attribute only. We have to set the attribute of style now. Style helps us to set the border, whatever we want, highlight the element. So now we will see the same example. So now what I'm going to do is inside this, I'm going to identify this element, not this. Let's say I want to identify this web element only. So document dot element by ID. So what is the ID? So this is the ID, right? ID. So I want to set the style attribute. So dot style I can keep, or else dot set attribute of style I can keep. So if you want to use dot set attribute, you have to use like this. Now dot style I can use like this also. So I have to put dot this element dot style. Okay. So what style I want to keep? I want to keep, okay, I want to highlight this web element. Around this web element, I want to keep the border. Okay, I want to keep the border. So what border I want to keep? Border colon. I want to put a red border, which is of width 2 pixels. Okay, and then solid. Solid is nothing but the straight line, which is of width 2 pixels. Right, 2 pixels, solid straight line around this, which is color of red. Now, if I enter this command, just a second. Saying style is not a function. Okay, so we cannot use style directly. We need to use set attribute only. Okay. So get element by ID and then set attribute. I want to set the style attribute, and then I'm using 2 pixels solid red. So 2 pixels is nothing but the width of the corresponding web element which is going to highlight, and then solid is nothing but the straight line, right? And also red is nothing but the color which I want to get the complete web element. In this way I can highlight. Let me enter. See, I'm able to highlight the element. Right? Let me increase the width. So instead of 2 pixels, let me keep 10 pixels now. What will happen? We'll see. Okay, the size is increased. Now if you put 50, Okay, this is how we can increase the width in the pixel format. Now let us give only 5. Okay, let me clear everything. Let me give only 5 pixels. Okay, now the red, obviously red color, the border is on red color. Solid is something where straight line will be, we are able to see the straight line. So instead of solid, we can keep dotted. So what will happen, we'll see. Okay, we can see the dotted line. Normally we use solid line only. Okay, 5 pixels red solid. This is the border I'm setting. This is the border attribute I'm setting as of now. Okay, right? And along with the border attribute, we can set the background attribute also. As of now, the background color is white. Inside the element, background color is white. So if you want to set the background color as yellow or whatever it is, so if you click on enter, right? Semicolon, background, again colon, and then yellow. Inside the style attribute, I'm trying to change the style of this particular element. So this is how we need to highlight the element. Clear? Any questions?
No, sir, it's clear.
The same thing we can perform using JavaScript executor. The same script, whatever we have written, that we can use in JavaScript executor. Now I'm not going to identify using this. Normally I identify using web element, and using that I can pass using arguments of 0 dot set attribute of style. Okay, you can use it. The complete statement also can use, not a problem. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use JavaScript dot execute script. The double quotes I need to pass. So this text box I want to highlight. Now how to highlight? Using arguments of 0 dot set attribute. Okay. So here we need to pass the style as the first parameter. In the next parameter, we need to cast the complete. This particular border is equal to 5 pixels solid. That's it. Border is equal to 5 pixels solid red. Five pixels. You can interchange, not a problem. Solid red or red solid, whatever you want to do. In this text box, I want to set the style attribute like this, or you can set the background also. So let me run this and see whether we're able to highlight this web element. What happened? Nothing happened. Why? Did we miss something? Okay, let me run this again. Semicolon I have put inside. Okay, I have to put outside once the complete of the complete statement. Okay. Now let me run this again. Yeah. So that's how we can highlight the web element. Any web element. Any color you can use. Any size you can use, and whether it is solid or dotted, you can use. So the next one is how to scroll using JavaScript executor. Okay. For scrolling purpose, there are different things available. One is scroll or scroll to, one is scroll by, and is scroll into view. Okay. Now first let us do the same thing in Chrome, and we do using the same JavaScript executor using. So first we need to use scroll method. Okay, let me refresh the page. Okay. I'm going for home page. Okay. Now here I'm going to use the scroll option. For scroll, what we need to do is don't use this document dot. Okay, we have to use window dot. The first one is scroll. So inside the scroll, we need to pass the X and Y axis. So X represents the horizontal scrolling and Y represents the vertical scrolling. Here we don't have any horizontal scroll, right? We want to scroll vertically. So what we need to do? The horizontal will be 0. And vertical scrolling, again, you have to give in the pixels only. How much you want to scroll? 100, 200, 300, 400. So let us give 500. Okay. The moment I do this, click on enter. It scroll till here. Okay. Now, if I want to scroll till 800, okay, I'm able to scroll down. If I want to scroll till 1500, I can scroll. Okay, based on the y-axis, I'm able to scroll down. Correct? Correct or wrong? So if I want to scroll up, so this I need to provide like minus 200. Let's see what will happen. Minus is nothing but the upward scrolling, and plus is nothing but the downward scrolling. If you put minus 200, what will happen? I'm going up. Okay, so forget about that. Let us scroll down to 1500 again. Okay, this is in the pixel format. You can come to this particular position. So window.scroll helps us to scroll, okay, in the page. Okay, JavaScript executor. So this particular command is nothing but the JavaScript command. This we can execute again using JavaScript executor. Okay, now the same command, let us try to using JavaScript executor. Okay, once I open the website, now using JS dot. So this is same, this is common. Okay, this you have to do it. Then only we can use the particular command JS dot execute script. So with script we can remove everything. You have to scroll to 0 to 1500. Now let me run this. Okay, we're able to scroll. So the first scrolling is nothing but the 0, 0 will be there. So horizontal scroll represents the first parameter, vertical scroll represents the second parameter. Now, so the same thing we can achieve using scroll to. Scroll and scroll to both are same. Okay, so we can use the same thing using scroll to command. Okay, I'm not going to use it there. I'm just trying to explain here only. Okay, the same thing you can use using scroll to command. So window dot also work was the same. So let me go back to the previous page, starting page. If I put 0, 1500, I'm going to navigate to the corresponding page. Okay, so it will navigate to the corresponding location, 1500 location, y-axis location. Okay, how many times you use? It will be there only because the 1500 location is fixed. Correct? So this is the behavior of scroll and scroll to. Okay, from the 0th position to the corresponding location, whatever you're giving y-axis. So that there till there you'll navigate. Now what is scroll by? This is also for scrolling purpose. So now instead of scroll or scroll to, I'm using scroll by. So window dot scroll by. Here also we need to pass the x-axis and y-axis. Correct? So I'm going for the beginning. Now if I put 0, 500, I'm going to this particular location. So what is the difference then? Okay, there should be some difference, right? So this should work one way and this should work another way. There should be some difference. So what is the difference? So scroll by scrolls from the current location. It will, for example, if I put 500 here, like I'm going for the beginning. When you're using scroll by, if I use 500, from 0th position to vertical scrolling till 500, I'm going to navigate this particular location. Use again scroll by. From the current location, it is navigated to 500 more. Right? Again, if I use 500 from the current location, it will navigate. So how many times I use this command? Those many times I'm going to navigate 500, 500, 500 like that. But window.scroll or scroll to, it does not work like this. It will be stick at that particular position only. If I use window.scroll, wherever you are, doesn't matter. You will be coming to the 500 position only. Okay, it will not navigate from the current position. It will stick to that particular Y location. Okay, wherever you are, doesn't matter. It will come to the corresponding 500 location. How many times I use? You will be there only because this is the 500 location, Y-axis location. But window.scroll by helps us to scroll from the current location onwards. It will keep on increasing. From the current location, we'll navigate to 500 more. If I use again that command, again from there, we will navigate to 500 more. So that is the difference. Okay, if you can try it out, you can try it out using JavaScript Executor, same way. These are two different types of scrollings that we have. Scroll or scroll to works same, or else scroll by. And the next one is scrolling to view. Now I don't want to scroll using X and Y axis. Now I want to scroll based on the web element. Right? I want to scroll based on particular element. I want to scroll. I can use scrolling to view. Now let us take a web element. Okay, so till this particular element, Facebook element, I want to scroll. Okay, or till this particular element, I want to scroll. Okay, just a second. Okay, so till this particular element, I want to scroll. Okay, so how to scroll to this particular element? Then we have to use scroll into view. So based on element, we are scrolling, not using X and Y axis. So why we have to scroll in particular web element? Sometimes in our projects, in our applications, we cannot see the element visible. If we cannot see the visible on the page, we cannot perform the action. Okay, in some projects, what will happen in some application? So automatically Selenium try to scroll. Sometimes Selenium are not able to scroll automatically. Before clicking on element, before sending the text, normally Selenium scrolls to that particular element and enter the text and clicks the element. Sometimes Selenium is not able to perform those scrolling operations. Then we have to explicitly scroll to that element and we can perform the action. I want to make that element till it is visible, then only can perform action forcefully. That is the reason we have to use JavaScript Executor scrolling. And also click and send keys using JavaScript Executor. Click and dot value. Why we are using? Because we already have existing methods. Sometimes in our applications, we are not able to use existing methods. Drive.findElement.click, drive.findElement.send keys. It is not going to happen in that way. Then in rare cases, we have to use JavaScript Executor for entering the text while clicking the elements. Even for the scrolling also. If the Selenium is not automatically scrolling in the web page, we have to forcefully scroll the element and make our element visible on the web page. Then we can perform the action. Right. Now I want to scroll till that particular element. So now I want to identify this element using JavaScript Executor. So first I need to identify, normal I'm going to identify Facebook, and then, so till this particular element I want to scroll. Okay, now I want to identify this element using CSS selector. Okay, let me comment this scrolling part. Now FB link, this is FB link. So driver dot find element by dot CSS selector. So this is a CSS selector to identify that particular link. So till here, till this web element, I want to scroll. Now I have to use the JavaScript executor. Execute js.execute script. So now in the second parameter, I need to pass the web element. So till this web element, I want to scroll. I don't want to scroll using X and Y axis. I want to scroll using till this particular web element. So here I need to pass the arguments of 0. This is mandatory because this first argument I want to refer. This is the 0th index argument. So arguments of 0. Arguments of 0 dot. We have to use this command, scroll into view. Okay, scroll into view and then semicolon. So this is the command that we need to use. Till this web element I want to scroll. So this is a web element. So FB link dot scroll into view. Till that element you want to scroll using JavaScript executor. So this is a JavaScript. Scroll into view is a JavaScript command. Now if I run this, what will happen? You will see. Okay. We're able to scroll to that particular element. If you find issues in identifying the element, making it visible, then you have to scroll like this using JavaScript executor and perform the action now. Just whatever the click you want, whatever you want, you can just click on it normal using normal Selenium commands. Okay. Any questions?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Yeah. So this is how we need to scroll. So identifying the elements using JavaScript executor. First, we write some script. The script if we can execute using JavaScript executor using Selenium. In Selenium is providing JavaScript executor, that feature, where we can execute the JavaScript. So JavaScript we can execute in console also. Under the console tab, we can execute normally JavaScript. That feature is provided by browsers itself. But the same script, if you want to execute in code, you have to use JavaScript executor. That's what we did. And also you have seen how to enter the text using dot value. Different ways you have seen, and also clicking of the any element, we have seen dot click, and then highlighting elements using JavaScript executor and scrolling using JavaScript executor. So this is the end of the Selenium WebDriver course. WebDriver is done. Okay, still Selenium IDE and Selenium Grid are present, right? Those two I can complete in one class. Just overview how we can use it and all. But Selenium WebDriver is the main thing that we use coding part. Okay, those two understanding purpose we'll discuss later. Next, from tomorrow we are going to discuss about the framework related information. Okay. Any questions? You can watch the videos again and you can ask me questions if you don't have any now. Clear?
Clear, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah. So that's all for today. So we'll meet tomorrow again. Okay, tomorrow we have a class. Okay, no holiday for us. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Right. So thanks for joining the session. See you tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.